Tonight, Ghana secures 8 billion cedis as revenue from the export of crude oil since 2011. Fuel price is expected to drop between 3 and 6% from next week Monday. We'll find out from the LPG Marketers Association when we should expect a drop and by what margin. Also, the Tree Crops Development Authority launches a $100 million strategy and implementation plan for the next 5 years.
It is my strong belief that the TCDA 5-year strategy and implementation plan will serve as an investment framework to guide mobilization of both the public and private investment towards the development of a competitive and sustainable tree crop industry in Ghana.
All these and more coming shortly with me, Charles Ayitey. To stay with us. You're welcome. Now, Ghana has secured a little over $8 billion as revenue since it started exporting crude in 2011. This was captured in the semi-annual Petrol Funds report released by the Bank of Ghana. George Rafi has more.
The $8 billion is Ghana's share of crude since the country started exporting oil in commercial quantities. This doesn't capture the profits and revenue of other private exploration firms on Ghana's oil area. But how has the money been spent? Based on Ghana's petroleum accounts in the Federal Reserve in New York, USA, a little over $3 billion had been advanced to government to support projects and initiatives in the budget over the years. $2.4 billion has been taken up by the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation to finance its exploration activities and other commitments on the oil area. The petroleum law requires that a fraction of the country's earnings should be set aside for future generations and support the budget in crisis times. So, the Heritage Fund, which should be for future generations, has about $770 million in its accounts, which includes interest earnings as well, while $1.8 billion has been advanced toward the Stabilization Fund. The report also showed that Ghana's oil shipments since 2011 to June this year stood at 56 million barrels, valued at $6.5 billion.
Now, prices of petroleum products is expected to fall from Monday, the 1st of August. Research analyst at the Institute of Energy Security, Fritz Moses, has attributed the expected reduction of fuel prices to the current happenings on the international market. According to him, the reduction will last till the first half of August this year. He was speaking earlier on the marketplace.
Right. So, yes, we're also seeing some reductions at the various pumps for both petrol and diesel. Of course, the large amount of reduction we are seeing will come from the petrol side. We expect to see that petrol will reduce by close to some 10% on its current price. And diesel, somewhere around 5% should be the figure. But of course, the understanding we are seeing, or the figures we are getting from the international market and the local CD dollar rates, is what is precipitating this increases or this reduction in the various prices. On the international markets, we saw gasoline, that's petrol prices, drop by some close to 15%. Diesel prices still dropped around 7%. Unfortunately, however, for our CD exchange rate against the US dollar, we saw a depreciation of the CD again by some 2.2% from the mid-July to the end of July, somewhere yesterday. And so these are the two factors that are causing the expected reductions in the various prices at the various pumps. Fortunately, like the way the pricing window exists, we are seeing that these price reductions would last us still there. So the first half of August next month. And of course, should the current situation that we are seeing on the international markets where prices are dropping, in the pricing window, largely we saw prices drop for oil around $99 per barrel, touching briefly around $106, $107, and then falling back again to around $101 at the end of the pricing window per barrel mark. If the trend should continue to see prices fall, unfortunately it hasn't. As of today, prices were hovering around $108 per barrel. We expect that going forward into next week, we may see price falls continues. If that should be the case, then it means that we may see a protracted period of reduced prices at the various pumps.
All right, Fritz Moses, research analyst with the IES.
Well, LPG is expected to fall for Monday, the 1st of August. And of course, a move that will come as a big boost to consumption of the commodity that has seen a continuous decline in recent months. Joining us to discuss is Gabriel Kumi, Vice President of LPG Marketers Association. We're grateful that you could join us. By what margin will the price of LPG go down?
Coming this weekend, we are expecting LPG to go down by about 4-5%.
Does it come as good news after all? And I mean, will that particular call for a review of your earlier forecast that consumption of LPG will drop significantly if the prices continue to rise, stop?
Obviously, any reduction in the price of LPG is good news for us and good news for our consumers and good news for Ghana. But when you look at the first 6 months of the year, consumption of LPG has dropped by about 11%. And earlier on, we predicted that the way prices were going, if nothing is done to bring prices down, by the end of the year, we were projecting about 20% reduction in consumption of LPG. But it's good that we've seen some reduction over the past month or so. If this reduction continues, then we are likely to see, definitely there will be a decrease in consumption. As I did indicate, we've already done about 11% dip in consumption if you compare the first 6 months of this year to the first 6 months of last year. So we can only hope and pray that the price of LPG will continue to drop so that it will positively affect consumption.
Do you still stand by your position, though, that some taxes on LPG are too many and must therefore be scrapped?
Those are positions that we still stand strongly by. That has been our call for the past 4 or 5 years. We believe LPG must be made tax-free. There should be no tax on LPG. Because the taxes, what the taxes does is that it increases the price of the product, and that negatively affects consumption. I mean, the fact that this year we have witnessed a dip in consumption of LPG, but as much as 11%, tells you that the higher the price of LPG, the less consumption of LPG that we are witnessing in this country. And if you look at, government is making very serious effort to plant trees. We are pumping in millions of Ghana cedi to plant trees. Very laudable idea, very good move. But we are saying, and we've always said, that we need to complement that by ensuring that the consumption of LPG goes up. If we don't do that, I can assure you that most of these trees are going to end up being cut to be used as fuel, wood fuel and charcoal.
And we'll see how that pans out. We're grateful, Gabriel Kumi, that I could join us on this. We turn our attention, though, to the power sector because as the country's power distributor, ECG, raised concerns over the high rate of defaults and power theft. It comes as the state institution is also racing against time to clamp down on companies defaulting on their payment. Also, Joy Business is speaking that ECG is engaged in a renegotiation of PPH with a potential of saving $13.2 billion US. And of course, amid forex issues with buying power. Joining us to discuss is Dr. Yusuf Suleiman, an energy expert, together with the IES. In terms of Nana Mosi the 7th. I want to start off with you, Nana Mosi. Grateful that I could join us How significant is this exercise to the power sector? I'm afraid we do not have him at the moment, but we should try raising the lines. But if I could bring you in on this, Dr. Sulemana, I mean, this is a move to cut down on costs and improve profits. But how significant is this exercise? Can you unmute so we can hear you better?
Yes, so good evening to you. Can you hear me now, Charles?
You're loud and clear.
Yeah, so good evening to you and your cherished viewers. Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Yeah, this move, I think, is a quite significant one. It's significant in the sense that if you look at what is happening to the power sector, I mean, the three value chains that we have, these three chains are so intricately linked that if there's any inherent inefficiency in one of the chains, the cascading impact on the other chains will undoubtedly be dire. And if you look at all the other three chains, for the generation side, through distribution and through transmission to distribution, I think the distribution is where we are having a lot of problems. And distribution is the one that they are the players who are quite interfaced with, consumers. And so to the extent that if we have losses attributed to commercial losses, which are if they are not corrected, I think the impact on the other value chains will be dire. And if you look at the tariff structure, this the tariff that the end user, the utility consumer pays at the end of the day, a chunk of it goes to distribution and transmission losses. Indeed. So assuming this exercise becomes fruitful and successful, and we're able to plug leakages, and then we're able to take out this component from the tariff structure, I think it's going to bring down the overall cost of tariffs to the end user. Yeah.
Now, the generation value chain seems to have performed quite well over the period. Are there other strategies that can be put in place to enhance this value chain further?
Yeah, indeed, it's been excellent. If you look at all the other value chains, and this came as a result of the fact that, or at the back of the drop of the fact that this generation component was deregulated or it was liberalized, where private sector came in. That's how can we have a lot of IPPs as we speak. And so the coming number of IPPs actually brought a lot of power available. So power was available, but we'll say there's indirectly competitive. I mean, very cheap. We will expect power to be cheap. And so from where I sit, I see that we have huge opportunities, Charles. Ghana has huge gas reserves. If we make concerted effort to be able to link up the petroleum sector and then the power sector seamlessly, where gas will be a major conduit, it will drive our industrialization. So as we speak now, if we develop and enhance Ghana gas to be able to churn out or to be able to take advantage of this huge gas that we have within our reserves, and then we can channel it to the power sector, I think it's going to catapult our industrialization drive. And yes, so this is another opportunity that I think if you're able to bring down the cost of production, which is the raw material, that is gas, if it's available and competitive, I think at the end of the day, it could bring down further the cost that the utility consumer pays at the end of the day. Yeah.
Now, do you support the calls for private sector involvement in some of these value chains? And if so, which of the value chains specifically? Are we talking of generation, transmission, or distribution?
Yeah, I think fortunately generation is already liberalized. If you look at it, we have a lot of IPPs now involved, which has helped a lot. And so if I want to make any recommendation, I think we're going to look at distribution aspect of it. For me, assuming ECG, the exercise that they have embarked on, it becomes phenomenal successful, or it becomes a phenomenal success, where ECG efficiency can go like above 70%. We wouldn't need any private sector involvement. Nevertheless, private sector involvement is always key. And I think the distribution should be the major focus. But what I would recommend is that when we are looking for a private sector participant, we should look at serious players. We should look at a player who will come to form like what I'll call a symbiotic relationship, not a player who will come to be parasitic on the system. If a player should come with two major things, Charles, the player should have the financial wherewithal, and then the player should also have the technical ability to be able to add to the fortunes of ECT. A private sector player cannot come to be a liability on ECT. So yes, going forward, if you can get a player, not a player like PDS that came to be phenomenal failure, if you can get a player of a different model who can add these ingredients I talked about, the financial wherewithal, the technical ability to improve the fortunes of ECT, I think it should be the way to go. And the distribution sector should be where we should concentrate the privatization drive should be concentrated on the distribution component of the value chain. Should we go for any privatization?
Dr. Suleimana, we're grateful as always for your input on matters regarding power. Well, let's now talk agriculture because the Tree Crops Development Authority has launched a $100 million strategy and implementation plan for the next 5 years. Speaking at the launch, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Ayitey, has revealed that the authority will receive a seed fund of $5 million from government each year. According to him, this is to equip the authority in achieving its goal of being among the top 3 countries running the tree crops industry.
Globally, the tree crops industry is worth $2.4 trillion, yet Ghana barely taps into the industry. However, Minister of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Ayitey, says the narrative will change soon as government is prepared to support the Tree Crops Development Authority to realize $16 billion as foreign exchange revenue by 2030.
The authority is mandated to regulate and develop tree crop production, processing, and trading in a sustainable manner, with the goal of institutionalizing a highly developed, diversified, value-added, globally competitive, and sustainable tree crop industry in Ghana. The priority tree crops covered by Act 1010 are cashew, coconut, mango, oil palm, rubber, and shea. These 6 tree crops have the potential to generate about $16 billion in foreign exchange revenue for Ghana by 2030. Subsequent to the establishment of the authority, Cabinet has approved a $5 million annual seed fund for the Tree Crops Development Authority for up to 5 years.
Chief Executive of the Tree Crops Development Authority, William Kwetu, reiterated his outfit's commitment to ensuring that each of the tree crops generate $2 billion by 2032.
In 10 years, we are expecting each of the tree crops to generate about $2 billion, just like cocoa. And so if we say in 5 years, I expect that we'll be able to rake in $1 million per crop. So in other words, $6 billion for the 5 years. The authority has authority over the entire value chain up to a point. Okay. It has to do with the land preparation. It has to do with, let me just cut it short, agronomic practices. It comes out. Post-harvest, we'll be there. we'll be there to train people to, extraction rate, if you take oil palm, while some countries, Malaysia is getting almost about 20%, 22% of any oil palm that they extract oil from. Ghana's average is about 12%, 50% of what they are doing. So we have done all the research and we know the challenges. And so we know we are planning the solutions to those challenges.
The Swiss Embassy and the International Finance Corporation are partners of the Tree Crops Development Authority. Both pledged their support for the country and the authority.
Our aim is always to build capacities so that the authority can do the job on its own. It's not up to us as development partners to do the job. It's our job to build capacity so that the authorities of Ghana can do their job. We're very much committed to go this journey together. We have been on board since 2017 and we are committed to continue this journey together.
The partnership with IFC and TCDA actually predates TCDA. It starts with the government partnership back in 2015 to support the investment climate. But then in 2018, 2019, there was the increasing focus on the tree crop sector, originally 2 tree crops, but then expanding to 6 tree crops. And the thesis is relatively simple. This is a comparative advantage to Ghana: land, water, agricultural history, agricultural potential, and what can Ghana do to further develop the ecosystem, to further enhance the opportunities for higher value and new tree crops to create more and better jobs and better private sector business and better development in Ghana.
You're still watching Business Live. We're going for a short break. We're right back. Just stay with us. Some selected farmers in parts of the country have received support in enhancing the operations on the production of ginger and fish farming. The move is aimed at ensuring a sustainable production of these food commodities and to keep the players in business. But project lead for the program, which is partly sponsored by the European Union and the Ministry of Finance, Mary Tobin Osei, disclosed to journalists that the initiative has increased employment for beneficiaries in the past 2 years. He was speaking at a media workshop on the civil society organizations and research innovation for sustainable development, of which we have more in this report.
The Civil Society Organizations in Research Innovation for Sustainable Development initiative aims at reducing poverty in rural areas as well as promoting sustainable forms of business. It has been able to support beneficiaries to scale up production capacity and employ more people. Project lead for the initiative, Mary Tubenosei, spoke to Joy Business after a media workshop on the impact of the project so far.
It's an EU-funded project in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, and the main focus is to reduce poverty. And by reducing poverty, we are focusing on sustainable livelihoods. We are looking at promoting access to social protection. And we are also looking at promoting employment, actually creating jobs, and also influencing decent jobs in Ghana. So that is the main focus of the CSO RISE project.
Speaking on behalf of the Ministry of Finance, Schedule Officer for the project at the Ministry, Mercy Akuye Ashong, hinted that government has been a part of the program in order to ensure its success.
The monitoring and evaluation of this entire workshop. So just to give you a breakdown, the CSO RISE program is made up of two modalities. One is a direct management by the EU, who manages the grants, and then the other one is the indirect, which is being managed by us. So the grantees are being responsive to the EU delegation, but in as much as they are reporting directly to them, the Ministry of Finance plays a supervisory role on whatever they are doing. So as the grantees are implementing, we go around to ensure that whatever they are implementing is in line with government policies. So in doing that, the technical assistance team helps us to ensure that whatever they are implementing has not deviated from the norm or from what government wants to be seen in the country.
The total grant for the project is about 9 million euros for a 5-year period.
Business owners have been entreated to develop a strong business plan and model to attract investors. According to a financial advisor at Deloitte Ghana, Dennis Brown, a transparent, replicable business model that is scalable is essential. He emphasized that financial and market issues are very vital areas investors must prioritize. He spoke on the masterclass.
I'll say that there's money out there to the extent that there are people that are into the business of providing capital. There is money out there. The difference is that in and around this time, your business plan and business model will really be tested, right? It's a post-COVID recovery thing. Everybody's going through it. It's been very challenging. The economy appears to be, suffering as well. So providers of capital will be very much interested in seeing that all these things have been factored into your business plan, and that what you have in there is not a set of fanciful ideas, because everyone is going through, and so everyone is aware that businesses, going forward, are going to have to feel the crunch a bit. So if you look at your business plan and you seem to be on an island on your own in a very nice place, expecting that you'll be doubling revenue every year, that obviously will be questioned and will be scrutinized, and chances are investors will not take you serious if you haven't taken time to take these conditions into account. You haven't taken time to factor them into your business plan. That is what will make it difficult for you to access capital. But capital is there. Private equity firms are still raising funds, and some of them are sitting on large funds, except that before they invest, before they jump, they will look and listen and probably even fail as well, before they do that. So the scrutiny will be far more around this time.
That'll be it for Business Live. I'll leave you with international business news. We're grateful that you could join us. Enjoy the rest of our programs.